All right, here we go. Beyond the book, making reading work with our kiddos with ADHD.
So we're going to start with talking about what is ADHD. Per ASHA, the American Speech and Hearing Association, the definition of attention deficit hyperactive disorder is a lifelong brain disorder that makes it hard for a person to pay attention. Some people with ADHD have trouble sitting or controlling their behaviors. We're going to look at some more behaviors you might see.
So what are some signs of ADHD? ADHD can be a broad spectrum. You can be a specific type. You can be a combination of ADHD, which is what we'll look at today. And it's important to look at these different facets of ADHD because symptoms could be different depending on which one you're looking at, and they can each impact reading differently too. So let's talk about certain types of ADHD and what that might look like.
So the first sign or symptom we have is inattention. So the starred bullet points that we have are some common symptoms that we see in sessions with our kiddos that have ADHD and are also working on reading. So the first one is has trouble concentrating. This is very common with our patients. They might seem like they're not caring or they're not interested, but in reality, it's just really difficult for them to actually concentrate for a long period of time. The next one is starts thinking about other things. You might think that your kid's daydreaming a lot or spacey, has problems staying focused on tasks. This can be any kind of tasks, chores you give them, or homework. Does not seem to listen. This can be a big one. You might be like, oh, they're just not listening to me, but this could actually be a sign of ADHD. Does better on some tasks than others, has problem planning, organizing, and finishing tasks on time. This is a huge one we see with our patients. This can be worked on with working memory. A lot of times it's just really hard for them to do these tasks. And the last one is has problems learning new things. All right.
Our next aspect of ADHD is something called hyperactivity. This is like your stereotypical image of ADHD. Seems unable to sit still, can be restless or fidgety, may bounce from one activity to the next. I have some kiddos who are just going a mile a minute, and it's like, okay, we did this, now let's do this, and let's do this. And their minds just go, 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 which is so cool. But then that can kind of pull them back from getting a task done, like Elizabeth said, or just attending to what you're saying in the moment. And then the next one is often tries to do more than one thing at once. And that kind of goes from bouncing from one thing to the other. They're trying to juggle so much because they're trying to think ahead, but then we get lost in the sauce a little bit.
And we end up getting nothing done.
Right.
Okay. Impulsivity. This is a huge one. Child may act before thinking. You might just think, why did my child just do that? They might be doing super impulsive things. Or they may have problems waiting their turn, such as when playing a game. This is a huge one. You might think that they're being rude, but in reality, it's just really, really hard for them. They're so excited. Their brain is just on their turn.
Okay, so you might be thinking, so what? How does this tie back to reading in any way, shape, or form? We look at reading as speech pathologists and speech language pathologist assistants in multiple ways. So we look at reading fluency, reading comprehension, and also writing. So how are you able to organize your thoughts? So for some of our kids that we see that have ADHD, comprehending what they read can be really difficult for them. And it's not because they're not trying, but they may have issues with working memory. They may have a hard time recalling what was said, even if they were trying to pay attention. I have some kids where sometimes I just need to give them a little hint and they're like, oh, yes, that's what it was. So they are listening. They just have sometimes a hard time recalling. Or sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're distracted and I see them kind of looking around, or I see that something else is on their mind and I just say like, hey, do you need me to repeat what I said? Just to help them know like, oh, if I need to advocate for myself, I can. The other aspect is writing. I'm putting their thoughts to paper. Some of my kids have a really hard time sequencing what they want to say. They know in their head, okay, I know I want to talk about this. But then when we go to write it down, our thoughts kind of go all over. again, this isn't them not knowing how to write. This isn't them, not paying attention. This is genuinely having a hard time sequencing out what we want to say. So we can see issues manifest in a lot of ways, like in this aspect. They may have slower reading fluency because, like Elizabeth said, they may be trying to like keep going, but then we skip little words. They may have a hard time answering questions about a reading or a story. They may not be able to follow along as someone else reads, or you may see them kind of like looking around a little bit, which sometimes they are paying attention even if they are looking around. So that's something good to pay attention and keep in mind as well. Sometimes they avoid reading or writing because they know that it's difficult for them, or they don't like the aspect of sitting down and attending to a story for a long time, because like Elizabeth said, that's really difficult for them. They like that movement. It's soothing. It's what their brain needs. So when you tell them, okay, we're going to sit and read for 10 minutes, they're like, are you serious? And then the last thing you might see is just lots of complaining. And this is them trying to tell us like, hey, this is hard for me. So we try to tune into that when we're in clinic.
So how do we start going beyond the book and helping our kiddos with ADHD? And that is self-advocacy or advocacy for your kiddos. So when ADHD can look like so many things, it can range from IEP accommodations. So this can be extended time on tests, taking tests alone with no distractions, fidget seats, any of those things that your kiddos with ADHD might need to help them read or write and school better. We can also do just personal self-advocacy. So you can talk with your child, or we do this a lot in speech therapy about ways to self-advocate. I need a break right now. I can't focus. Being able to tell your teacher or teach your child how to tell their teacher, I can't focus right now. I need a break. I need a movement break. I need my fidget seat. I need to stand up. In class, there can be a million things, but whatever your kiddo needs, it's really important that you teach them how to self-advocate for themselves. And we use a lot of visuals that can really help, because sometimes it's just anxiety to self-advocate for yourself. So having a little visual, like I need a break card, or I need to move, and hand that to your teacher can be really good for them. And now we're going to talk about some ways that we can keep your child more motivated and promote fun reading at home or school.
So like Elizabeth said, there's quite a few things that we can look at. We can look at wiggle seats in the classroom, holding sensory fidgets. Sometimes I give my kids like a little fidget spinner to use as they read. Using first then statements, like first we'll read 2 chapters, then we can have a 5-minute break and we can kind of move around and listen up. Or you can use like a fun visual timer that like goes off and makes a cool noise or offers a cool picture. Or even just like, hey, look at the time. We've only got 2 more minutes of reading left and then we're good. This kind of just helps kids know like, okay, this task isn't going to go on for an unlimited amount of time. I have a set schedule for my reading. A lot of our parents do this where they read aloud, especially at night. They have like set reading time. Obviously, schedules don't always line up with this. So if you're like, oh gosh, I never have time to really read aloud with my kid, don't worry about it. These are just some suggestions. They're not things that you have to do to get your kid motivated. They're just some things that we have found worked with our kids and with our parents with kiddos with ADHD, motivating them to read. When you are reading aloud, you can take turns reading sentences or even chapters. Like, hey, I'll read this one and you read the next one. This also is kind of cool because you hear different narrating voices as you read, which can be really interesting. Finding the right environment. Some of our kids really like silent rooms, limited distractions, and like, this is what I need to read. Whereas some of my kids I know would like rather have a TV on or like the music or the fidget spinner making noises they read. So talk to them about what works for them. Like, hey, would you rather like have silent reading time, or would you rather us like have a fidget out while we read or have TV on while we read, and kind of see like what they say. Maybe not TV, but maybe music. Because I know I would watch the TV as a kid.
Especially when they're bouncing all over the place. They might just be looking at the TV. So
Popping
music is a good one.
Right. Not something they visually watch, but still something that can like make their brain happy while they read. Finding the right time for your child to read. A lot of parents gear toward nighttime reading because that's when, understandably, a lot of our parents are available. But sometimes if they're too tired or they're too overstimulated, that can be a really hard thing to get them to do. So again, like talking to your kiddo, would you rather read at night or in the morning? And just kind of collaborate with them on what they would like best. Next one seems really obvious, but I have a lot of parents who shy away from comic books. But comic books still have words in them. I mean, maybe don't pick one that doesn't have words, but but they can be really motivating and cool because they do have pictures and they have these fun words like kapow and boom and all this cool narration. So don't be afraid of comics. Make them interesting. Let your kiddo pick out what book they want. Obviously, you can have boundaries as a parent, but a lot of my parents are like, I don't let them pick out comics. And I say, why? Those are fun. They're visually stimulating. There's something cool to look at while they read. You can ask questions based off of that and work on reading comprehension. What do you see in this picture? What do you think is going to happen? So don't be afraid to make it fun and let your kiddo pick out the books that they want. Another great resource is audiobooks. I've had a lot of, especially my older kids with ADHD, where they'd actually rather have an audiobook because they say that they can do a couple of things at once while still tuning into what they're listening to. So I thought that was really cool. So don't forget about audiobooks. Sometimes if you have a kiddo who's having trouble with skipping words, or if they're skipping ahead too much, to have them visually track where they are with their finger, that can kind of help them lock in on each word, because we know some of our kiddos kind of skip some of those article words like the, a, and, or they skip ahead because they're just not visually tracking where they are. Ask your child fun questions about the book. You can even be silly, or ask them a question that definitely is not going to happen just for them to tell you no, that would never happen. Some of my kiddos like proving me wrong. All of my kiddos like proving me wrong. So make it engaging. And then last but not least, we use a lot of this in clinic where we use multi-sensory approaches. So we use sensory. All right. So just to review, as we get to our slide, we talked about what ADHD is, signs of ADHD, different types and symptoms that you'll see with ADHD, like inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity. And impulsivity. That is very important. And then we talked about how this affects reading comprehension, and writing. And then the last thing that we ended on were things that we could do at home or at clinic to help our kiddos, be more interested in reading, or at least have more motivation when it comes to reading. We had left off on multisensory approaches before our video cut off. And we were talking about mainly using things like sensory bins. I even have some kiddos who like to use a puppet as we do sounds or reading, or I even have some who like to jump on a trampoline while we do sounds. Whatever.
Shaving cream, Play-Doh.
Putting manipulatives like in a sensory bin, like if you're focused on reading comprehension, and you're doing, for example, we have Hungry Caterpillar on there, like putting in little manipulatives from the book in the sensory bin for them to find is also like a fun way to make it engaging.
Okay, so who do I talk to? There are a lot of people you can talk to if you are interested in getting services for ADHD and reading. First, you can talk to SLPs. Speech language pathologists can help with improving working memory strategies, written language and organization, written thoughts, and reading strategies. So a lot of people actually don't know that we work on reading, but we do have a big clientele for working on reading. And the next people we can work with, or that you can reach out to, is occupational therapists. So if you have a child who has ADHD and dyslexia, they can co-occur and are having trouble visually tracking on a page or with their handwriting. An occupational therapist would be a great person to reach out to. They work on these things. And lastly, you can reach out to a psychologist or psychiatrist. So psychologists can help more with the diagnosis of ADHD and can provide strategies for ADHD support. And psychiatrists can offer medication for ADHD if you're interested in that route.
And the last thing that we'll talk about today beyond resources is advocacy. So Elizabeth mentioned this in part 1 on how we as clinicians, parents, and just professionals in general can advocate for our kids. And we can also talk to our kids about advocating for themselves, because we know that we're not with them all the time. And sometimes our kiddos with ADHD and or ADHD with reading problems can kind of get a bad rap in school, even though they didn't do anything. It's just how their brain works. So if your child's teacher is noticing things, then I think that's a good opportunity for us to talk to them about what supports we can put in place for the kiddo, because not every teacher is going to have access to things like wiggle chairs, for example, or multi-sensory bins right in front of them, right? So we can kind of talk to teachers about what they can provide to our kid. And then we can also talk to our kiddo about things that they can say. Here are some advocacy statements that I've asked for kids to remember that they can tell me. I always tell my kids that my room's a safe space. So, I need to move around while I read this. I don't remember. I need us to read that again. I need something to help me remember. I've had kiddos where they've said, okay, I know I'm going to need a highlighter. And I said, thank you for telling me. I would love for us to use a highlighter. So just kind of teaching them, like, what do I need as a kiddo who struggles with reading to help me succeed? And how can I best tell the pupil around me what I need to do to get this done or get this task done?
All right, so we provided some resources for y'all. The Teach Group actually provides speech therapy, occupational therapy, applied behavior analysis services, and we have a pediatric psychologist. So we also have an executive functioning program that incorporates many of the elements that we've talked about today, if you're interested. We've put some QR codes up here for some different things also to read about ADHD and reading. So if you're interested and maybe you think your child has some of the things we talked about, you can call the Teach Group and we will get you connected with the right person that you need.
And we'll post these resources online, and we'll obviously be sharing this live online as well. So don't worry if you don't get to these QR codes yet or something happens on your end with technology. We both know about technology issues, evidently. So don't freak out. We will make sure that everything's available to you all.
All right, guys, thank you so much for attending our presentation. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email us. We can also put our email out when we post this, or call the Teach Group. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.